Welcome to the No Name MMA show, April 22nd, 2020.
Yeah.
I'm losing it.
Something like
All right, everybody. My name, Andy Romero.
Nina Hager.
Juan Chavez.
All right, so let's start it off with these current events. Not gonna waste any time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still gurgling.
So this week we found out John Jacek was speaking to MMA Junkie, saying that the UFC needs another fight between her and Zhuang Weili. And she was saying, we need big fights, and my fight with Weili is going to be big, so they need this big money fight. I would love to watch a rematch of that.
It was a crazy fight just because of her big alien head.
Oh.
She literally looked like Megamind.
Yeah. I think that's where she's not 100% wrong. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on the past shows, but in terms of like a fight that I want to watch, like besides Tony and Khabib, is Joanna Zhang Weili 2.
Because that first one was already fiery.
And I fucking scored it as like Joanna won.
Yeah, you thought Joanna won.
Yeah,
I thought
I think it was a really close. I think it was a close fight. I was okay with it going to Zhang Weili 2, but also I thought I don't know. I don't think I'm the only one there.
No, you're not.
But
definitely not. And I definitely see the argument there.
I for sure do, and that's where there's the difference with the refs and the pointing and judges and trying to figure out like who is getting scored what, and like if a significant hit is going to land harder for their point. But also at the end of the day, you got to look at the woman with the balloon face and see like this is the clear damage that was done. In a street fight, though, the person who's more messed up is the loser.
You judge a fight on rounds. Again, it is not the whole fight. You judge it by rounds.
But in such a close fight like that, that's where physically it's...
Maybe, yeah.
The reason why this is a discussion is just because judging is so controversial in UFC, because someone who knows what they're doing may not get the job done because of the judges.
That's 100% true. I think the unspoken hero in that fight, though, was no nonsense Keith Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
My boy ref the fuck out of that fight. It was so really good. And I think whenever it's one of those things where if you don't ever see the ref and you never go like that was controversial or whatever, that's where you go like, oh, that's a good judge. And that's where it's like they don't get enough recognition. Just like that lady ref in Brazil that did I forgot what championship fight she did, but it was in Brazil before everything shut down. But she killed it that whole card. That's where I think it has to be said that Keith Peterson is the man.
Yeah, I mean, I would be down. Those girls are Energizer bunnies. They were both hopping up and down, keeping their momentum for 5 freaking rounds. Who would you guys have for the next fight between the two of them?
I got Weili.
She's gonna learn from her mistakes. Zhang Weili did exactly what she needed to do. She was like, I need a Muay Thai fighter. I need to spar against Muay Thai fighters. And look exactly what happened. Joanna was throwing that front leg kick. Zhang Weili was ready for it, and then she caught it. I think Joanna's going to completely change her game up next time.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know.
We'll see. Ultimately, Weili, the reason why Weili won is because she saw Joanna's head swelling up, and she just started
just going for that.
That's what I'm gonna do. I think ultimately that's why she won. If Joanna's head wouldn't have swollen up, the judges would have been Joanna's still looking pretty good, and she's been lining up Weili, so
yeah. Leading up to that fight too, just learning a little bit more about them with the little bit of preview we get to see leading up to a fight, I was gonna be happy with either of them winning. So personality wise, I don't have someone I'm super rooting for either. Like I'd be happy to see both of them
like succeed
as the champion.
And I think the last fight was a testament to how good they both are. It's like they both ended up winners, even though there was like a winner and a loser.
I was rooting for both of them the whole time, so I don't know who I'd want to see win either.
I mean, this is the most exciting I've seen this weight division like in a long ass time. I cannot wait.
I seeing Wei Ling become champion, I think that was her first fight that I've seen. So I don't know too much about her, and I don't know too much about Joanna. I've seen a couple of her fights, even if I
She
don't
pummeled
recognize
Jessica
her.
Andrade.
But I don't know what it is about Wei Ling, but she seems like she has a very good like attitude, and she has a very good perspective. And just seeing that makes me want to root for her. Not saying that Joanna, I haven't seen that from Joanna, but I think I've seen it more so.
I think the reason why I'm rooting for Joanna is because if Joanna wins, then there's going to be a third one of these, and I'm just so excited just even thinking about trilogy. That in the future. Yeah, no,
that fight needs to be on
main event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first women's main event in a long time, and I would watch it.
Well, I think all in our hearts, that was the main event from the card that we had watched.
Let's not mention that.
With Izzy and Yoel following them. Yeah. We all were just like, if it wasn't for Joanna, we would not be as like pumped from the night as we were.
Joanna, come on the show. Zhang Wei Li, also, you're invited. No nonsense, Keith Peterson. You're probably not going to say anything, but you're still welcome to come on the show.
Yeah.
Yoel, Dad, come on, please. Izzy, you know where it's at. Come on the show.
Something else kind of cool that happened this week was the anticipation, of course, that we all were watching Tony Ferguson talking about his weigh-ins. So Friday on Instagram Live, he took to the scale and weighed in for the world to see. Did you guys watch that?
Oh, I watched it. I watched it 20 minutes delayed, and I was on Instagram all the time, just checking to see if he was on. It was one of those spurts and moments where I was like not paying attention, and boom, he weighed in. I was like, oh, he's gonna make it. Oh.
So something kind of cool from that too was that Conor McGregor was replying about his weigh-in on Twitter, congratulating him and having such a positive attitude, which is not the Conor McGregor attitude that we've seen before, which we were talking earlier too, when he fought Cowboy, when he came back, his like just respect for like all the people we saw him encounter and everything seemed to take a positive spin. So I'm curious if you guys feel like this is the new Conor McGregor that we're gonna see in the media.
Juan, you want to go first?
Sure. I do not think this is fake. If you want to say the final form of Conor McGregor, I think wants to say that. I think what's gonna happen right now, Conor McGregor, he's out of the picture. He's not in the hot highlight right now, so he doesn't need to impress anyone because he's already impressed everyone. Now, I think that he has been able to take a step back and been like, you know what? Maybe throwing a dolly through a window and cutting a bunch of people with glass is probably not the best idea. So I don't want to say that he's going to go back to being crazy just as soon as he starts winning fights again and going back into the hot spot. But what I will say is that he isn't a full reformed, holier than thou type of person either.
At that extreme of what he was versus Khabib and leading up to those fights and after those fights versus him saying congratulations, we're like, who is this saint of a person?
No, I want to believe that it's kind of changed. I still want him to talk, mad shit. I think it's one of the best things that's who he is. I think whenever you see him, but he decimates. He like is a surgeon when it comes to talking crap about other fighters. In that Khabib fight, it was just a drunk dude just mad. And that's where I was like, oh, this is like a slow decline. Yeah. It's just like, man, anybody can do that. The reason why you're you is because of the way you do it. And I think it's a step in the right direction for him, and I'm happy that it's kind of going this way.
I think it's more real than it is for John Jones.
It looks.
I think John Jones is fake, and I think McGregor is.
Yeah, like he's like genuinely trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it shows that he's not just this villain of a person that he's been playing, I think. So it's nice even just to see another side to his personality.
And I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Keep it up, McGregor. Come on the show.
But also, like, he's always said, I'm this type of person. Like, wherever he's going about, he's not like John Jones, and I hate to keep bringing John Jones up, but John Jones is like, oh, this is who I am, and then he goes on the opposite end of the
talk,
spectrum.
but does not walk the walk.
Conor McGregor, he says, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna act like this, I'm gonna say this, and he does all of it and does all of it, and without a problem.
Respectful.
So I think that's what I can respect Conor McGregor more than I can respect John Jones.
Very true. So MMAfighting.com is reporting that UFC 249 is going to happen in Florida on May 9th, which we were talking about in the last episode. Like, do they want to even disclose where the 249 fight will be on May 9th? I personally still feel like they're calling that too early and prematurely for a May 9th UFC fight. But if you could get away with it in the United States, I think Florida would be the most inviting environment for it.
I'm thinking it's going to happen. We'll see how. So right now it's the 22nd. Florida just opened up their beaches again, I think. We'll see how bad it is whenever that happens.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of go from there. I think the event will go on whether the beach thing was a bad idea or not. But I think they're just going to give them enough control where it's like, you can only have this many people. Hopefully they're going through the hoops of testing everybody, making sure everybody's okay.
Yeah.
And they're limiting the amount of people. But
did you see the post that the Black Beast posted on Instagram?
Mm-mm.
So he posted a video, and it could very well be fake, but it could very well be real. It was inside like the White House, like type of conference room looking type whatever. And there was two white males, seniors in there. I don't know who they were, but they were like, "Oh yeah, the death rate is actually 0.2, 0.3 of what we're actually reporting. We're just getting people scared out there."
That sounds fake.
It sounds 100% fake.
Yeah.
That sounds like some Eddie Bravo stuff. But hey, Bravo, come on the show. Black Beast, come on the show.
Eddie Bravo's stuff could be, legit.
No, he's a flat earther, bro. So that's where you lost me, Eddie Bravo. Sorry, man. Respect your jujitsu skills. Mm-hmm. Just don't buy anything else you're selling.
Yeah. I think that, just right now during the pandemic, we cannot be certain of anything currently. So, especially a date so soon is all going to feel very hearsay. I won't buy it until I see the world around us changing, and then maybe I'll believe that we'll see a UFC fight happen again.
Yeah, I don't know where to stand on that. I don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen, May 9th?
They said California literally a week before, and then they shut that down. They're saying,
well, I mean, but California had the shutdown going on. That's where before Florida was kind of just freeballing it and didn't really do shit. They closed down for a little bit, but now they're like, oh yeah, we're struggling. So they're like, yeah, come on WWE, come on UFC.
Okay, but California didn't shut that down. ESPN shut that down.
No, California shut that down. The governor called. He shut that down. It's just like, I'm telling everybody to stay inside.
Dana White said that ESPN called him.
The governor called Disney, which California is part of, and Disney owns ESPN, and told Dana White to shut it down.
Okay, that's fair.
But do you think Disney could do that in Florida too? Disney could do that in Florida.
That's what I'm saying. Disney wasn't the higher up. The governor was. So if Rick Scott tells Disney, yo, shut it down, Disney tells ESPN, and Dana White eats the scoop full of shit.
Yeah. Cut. So if it's not going to happen in Florida, one of the other places we had talked about in the last episode too was Fight Island. And this week, the UFC has officially filed for the trademark of quote unquote Fight Island. So if 249 is off the table for being the first fight in Fight Island, what fights would you want to see happen there?
That Wei Ling and Joanna fight.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, that needs to happen there.
I honestly don't know. It just sounds so Mortal Kombat to me that I'm like, anybody could fight on that card.
Romero needs to go there.
Romero against who, though? And he just got done fighting Israel.
Oh, yeah, his legs got eaten up.
I mean, he was running afterwards. I'm sure he was, very messed up because he's a subhuman. Or a superhuman, I guess. But
when do you think Fight Island will be ready, though?
Dana White said a month. I'll hold him to that. I mean, there's just so much going on.
It sounds
You're
so
building
much
infrastructure
like
on
Fry
an island.
Festival, Fry Festival Island,
and there
Fight
was
Island.
also like, apparently the island. There was this rumor that it was Jeffrey Epstein's island. So it's got that going for it. This whole thing is just cursed, man. Coronavirus curse.
I kind of can't wait though to see it really happen, though.
Salte de aquí, Satanás.
I just don't understand like how they're going about it. Because is it gonna be a permanent Fight Island for the UFC, or is it kind of like?
They said that they're gonna be So hopefully,
minus
I mean,
hurricane season or something.
Oh yeah, no.
But UFC would become the most mainstream sport eventually, just because they'll have their own island, therefore they have their own regulations. They don't have to follow the rules.
No, they're those. I mean, the island's from somebody,
but they don't have seasons like football and stuff like that. So just having that island is going to
constantly as a I mean, that's one of the biggest draws to the UFC. Like in my opinion, that it's a year-round thing, and it's like a singular thing, but also it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what it gives a benefit over like basketball or football or whatever. There's no seasons in the UFC.
Speaking of island fights, we recently saw the Paul Felder and Dan Hooker fight in Australia.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand.
I think it was New Zealand.
Okay.
Because Dan Hooker got the crowd support.
Yes. Okay. So Paul Felder, though, was talking to John Anik, and he's saying that he's reconsidering retirement, which we heard him say he was probably ready to retire after that Hooker defeat.
He never put his hands down. Yeah. Or his gloves down.
But he was quoted to say, "I cannot wait to fight again." Which, to watch UFC, and I had never seen a Paul Felder fight before this one, and only had known him as the commentator that he is for UFC. And to see like how ready he is to fight someone like Dan Hooker, who's on a roll, was really cool to see. So who would you guys like to see Felder fight next, you think?
Well, I think the most sense right now is going to be Oliveira.
Yeah.
Cowboy?
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be a good fight. What is he ranked?
8.
Oh, yeah, that would be an excellent fight.
I think that's going to make the most
Cowboy
sense.
Oliveira against Paul Felder as a main event. I don't know if Cowboy is main event material, though. So it'd have to be a UFC fight night. But still, Paul Felder says he wants nothing but main events. That would be an excellent main event for a fight night.
Everybody ranked above Paul Felder has something going on.
And he has no shot at nobody, especially coming off of a loss.
So,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense anybody else but
Oliveira. That would be...
Yeah. Oliveira's coming off a win, too,
that
right?
One's... Yeah. And he's below Felder.
Yeah,
so that's perfect. Ooh. UFC. Make us like matchmakers. Yeah. Sean Shelby, watch out. Come on the show. Oliveira, come on the show. Also Paul Felder.
Yeah.
Come on the show. Irish Dragon. Come on, man. Let's
Teach
do this
us
thing.
Your broadcast ways, because we clearly are not broadcast professionals.
Yeah.
We're just doing the best we can.
Best we can with what we got.
In other news, Damian Maia retweeted the UFC calling out Diego Sanchez, saying he's ready to fight Diego. Let's do it.
They're both coming off a loss, no?
Yeah. Damian Maia's.
No, Diego Sanchez won his last fight, technically.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
TKO.
Oh, shit.
Or what's it called? Not a TKO.
Did I just correct you two? Yes.
Yeah, no, because
I completely forgot about that.
I mean, he was good at, like that.
That was a questionable win, but W nonetheless.
Yeah.
So that first knee to the body broke Diego Sanchez's ribs for an interview with Ariel Helwani. So had he not landed that second knee to the forehead, that would have been it. So, but still, even with that win, Damian Maia is gonna hurt Diego Sanchez.
Diego Sanchez, I don't know at what point, because I didn't follow his career at all. I did watch his season 1 performance. He didn't win
for the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, for the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
But I don't know at what point Diego Sanchez's skill started diminishing, because it seems like since I've seen him fight,
I mean, he was gone for a little bit.
It doesn't look like he should be in that octagon.
Yeah, well,
he does not look like he came back to the same place.
Well, no, because he was training at Jackson Winklejohn, the Joan with John Jones, and they are very crude. They like only if you're the best and you're a contender will you train here, and they kind of let Diego Sanchez go. They let Cowboy go. So it's their way. It's like out with the old, in with the young. So Diego Sanchez after that was still on UFC contract, and that's when he found
is that when he was on that one man team?
Yeah, and something Fabia is his coach, and he's a movement coach. I don't know. It's very suspect, but Damian Maia is not going to have anything. Like he is going to dismantle him like he's a bad leg.
Hey, but then that can open up Ben Askren and Diego Sanchez.
Oh my god!
That's all I'm saying, dog. That'd be a great fight. All that trash.
Ben Askren with the new hip. Oh my god, that might actually be a fair fight for Diego Sanchez.
Good grief. So speaking of John Jones, he was mentioned as stating that he would like to go over to Poland and fight Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Jean replied on Instagram saying, "So it's a date. Can't wait to fist you," which I love the cringy translations between the international fighters too.
He said it was on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I could see it kind of being on purpose just to pull off that Henry Cejudo vibe.
His English isn't like extremely horrible.
And also, like if you looked up Google Translate and you did it real quick, like shame on you, homie. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, surely he has an interpreter that could have helped him write that, but maybe he really can't wait to fist him. But I
think it's pretty funny. Good job.
Who would you like to see John fight next? Dominic, Jean, or Thiago Santos?
Dominic. I need that rematch. I need that one more than I need John.
So for those who are listening to this and was on our Instagram page, we are actually very surprised that for those who watched the fight, they picked John Jones for the winner.
Yeah, we put
also Dominic Reyes. I'm sorry you had to see that, man.
We do not agree with that at all.
At all. Come on the show, please. Let us explain. But the fans spoke, I guess, and they for some reason picked John.
It does not make. So even if you look at the stats on that paper that was on that same post, he clearly
won the first 3 rounds.
He won the first 3 rounds, and it's majority of the round wins. Now, granted, I do with that whole Joanna thing. That is kind of like I can see Joanna. I could see her winning that fight, but she looked bad, so that's why she lost. I don't think that was the case for Reyes. He didn't. I think he didn't look that bad.
Yeah. No. So who would you see out of the 3 though?
Oh, Reyes, 100%. He needs to be champion, and then Thiago Santos needs to get a crack at Dominic Reyes after that.
Oh yeah.
Anthony Smith he clearly got beat by John Jones. So
I think he needs to fight the loser of this to regain #1 contender.
Did he beat Gustafsson? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. Didn't you choke him out?
So why is John Jones coming after Sean?
Because he's the next one up. Oh. He's just kind of mowed everybody down.
Okay. So
he's the next one up, even though the Thiago Santos fight was kind of questionable.
Got it.
I mean, I saw how John won. The numbers were really close. And then he beat Anthony Smith, and then he beat Dominic Reyes, which he didn't, but he did. So John's the next one up. John, come on the show. John, fisting aside, come on the show. Just don't, please. John Jones, you know you're not welcome. Go fuck yourself.
Oh my god!
Yes. And then Dominic Reyes, please. I'm sorry. Come on the show.
If John Jones wanted to come on the show and we're like, no.
Fuck John Jones.
Fuck you, man.
I think John Jones is the only UFC fighter I would turn down. I don't understand why people don't turn him down. I would understand why he has sponsors.
I would turn him down because he's just so fake. Like, why did I got to deal with that?
Mm-hmm. I would happily talk to him.
He's talking shit about Ariel Helwani. It's just like, he's a journalist that he went to school for this. Like, homie. Yeah. Do you realize, like, that's like
he's doing
everybody's
his job,
everybody has a job.
Yeah.
If you don't have that job, somebody else's job goes to shit. nobody cares about you if Ariel doesn't talk about you.
Right. Yeah.
So like, give respect where it's due. Obviously, you don't have to be like he's the god, but it's just like get it right.
He gets your name out there.
Yeah.
If you don't have your name out there,
he's giving you platforms, man, to be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I did this again. I'm sorry.
It's a blessing to have somebody like that, like your name on their lips and your life matter to people that much. Anyway, but
Ariel wanted to come on the show. Still fuck you, John.
Oh, did you see where like
we're not biased here?
Not at all. Did you see where someone commented, DC commented that as Ariel could beat Askren in a fist fight?
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
After what I saw him do to Damian Maya, I don't know, man.
And then he also said that he could beat Dylan Danis.
And also he came at Darren Till, and Darren Till came at him again. Like he was just like,
but that's
a little coke whore.
Yeah.
I was just like, Darren Till during quarantine.
Darren Till,
everybody,
come on the show.
Yeah, Darren Till, come on the show. Also,
come shoot the shit with us.
Yeah, man, you're bored, dude. You got nothing else to do. Clearly.
We're bored here, clearly, starting a podcast. Come entertain us, or come entertain with us. We'd love that.
Okay, we can spar.
Oh my god. Want to go to the spa? No, or do you want to... Oh, I thought you said spa me.
Mike Perry.
Okay. So, in regards to finding people's opinions about the media and what they put out, when asked why Ngannou was on the prelims instead of the main card, he replied, "I was very happy because I asked for that. The prelims are the ESPN card. It's the one I wanted. The main card is pay-per-view. I think the ESPN one, that is the network I was supposed to fight on March 28th. My contract was on ESPN. It will have more of an audience and it's free. I wanted to fight on ESPN. We asked the UFC to put us on ESPN. I'm happy. That was my call." Do you think this helps him or hurts him?
I think
why do you think that's his
statement? That's where the whole UFC model was based off of pay-per-view. You know that Conor is so popular because you have a gajillion million pay-per-view buys. That's your standard. But now, since they're owned by ESPN, that standard's kind of gone out of whack because you have to subscribe for ESPN Plus,
right?
And they never release the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you look at it in ratings, this is gonna rate out the roof. This is the only sporting event that will happen. So, if you see like ad buys of stuff, this is gonna be, I mean, not on the level of Super Bowl, but in terms of UFC level for sponsors, it's going to be really up there because this is ad time you're going to want to put, just like ad time before the Jordan show that came on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure the ad buys before that were crazy because you want to have your name there.
And some of my favorite fights happened during the prelims. I may not remember every single fighter or like why, but those people are fighting tooth and nail to get some fans and to really show why they're there. Those prelim fights most of the time are the most entertaining to watch. Yeah.
And he doesn't get paid to fight on a main card. He gets paid to show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's a champion. He doesn't get a percentage of the pay-per-view
buys.
Him. That's where a lot of people think like, oh, if you're on the main card.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the reason why he was asked this was because your favorite fighter's on the main card in pay-per-view, Greg Hardy. Ugh. So they were like, why is Greg Hardy on the pay-per-view, but Ngannou's on the prelims? It's like, homie, the prelims are on ESPN and they're free to everyone. Everybody's got to have their eyes on them. And now a pay-per-view with this economy, some people are using that to buy food. So
right, yeah, or in other countries too.
But I think it's a perfect move.
What a smart play!
Francis Ngannou, you're very smart. Come on the show.
Yeah,
teaches a thing or two.
Greg Hardy, let me set the record straight, is my least favorite fighter.
Can you come on the show?
I will not be on the show the day Greg Hardy comes on the show. Oh snap!
She said I'm gonna dip out.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a PTO.
Oh my god.
Greg Hardy is a Wesley Snipes wannabe from Blade, and I do not mess with him.
His unfilled tribal tattoos.
We'll get in that later, Greg Hardy.
Y'all can have one-on-one
prepare yourself for that.
It's gonna be great.
Oh my gosh.
There's a couple fighters we don't like, I guess.
There is, yeah. When you guys were saying John Jones, I was like, "Oh, there's someone I dislike even more than him."
That's why I was like, "I'm gonna test her.
I don't know
I'm
who
gonna
else I don't like.
test her metal. She's gonna invite John Jones.
So
all right."
Andy likes to say, "Oh, your favorite fighter," every single time Greg Hardy is mentioned,
That's
and I
hilarious.
Because I know it'll
instantly
get
feel
you
my
to watch the
blood
fight.
boiling. Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be praying to the UFC lords.
Real quick, this isn't on anything that we're supposed to talk about, but that video that you guys put on Instagram with the whole, I guess it was like a Tony Ferguson. You tagged her and Kevin in it.
Oh yeah, we were watching Tony Ferguson fights. We watched the Barbosa one.
Okay, did y'all happen to see the Kobe Covington's like live post or something like that, where they're like betting money on stimulation fights?
Oh, I didn't
simulation
see that.
fights.
Yeah, I didn't know what was that about. I don't know if you guys.
I guess you can set up
two
fighters on UFC 3 to fight.
But he was talking like, yo, use this and win some money off betting. Since you're not betting off real fights, bet off these fights, something like that. I don't understand it.
No disrespect to Kobe Covington, but I'm never gonna take money advice from him. Sorry, bro. Yeah, no.
He sold his soul to get money.
Yeah, that's a shame. Oh well.
A damn shame. All right. Next topic. So, per CBS Sports, Amanda Nunes is the first one out of UFC 249, saying that she wants a full training camp for her title fight. Very fair. Amanda is a featherweight and bantamweight champion, and I would like to come on the show and talk more about camps and give everybody like a debrief on the importance of camps. So I totally understand, but also I was excited to watch her fight at 249. So I'm bummed about
I was excited. I think everybody can be like, if you don't want to fight, that's the thing with the whole Tony Ferguson making weight.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing this for no reason. It's almost like, why take a short notice fight when you don't have to, and you're the reigning champion?
Yeah. Okay.
And she wants to be that person. Mm-hmm. And I'm also happy too, because I was thinking Felicia Spencer is no joke.
Yeah, you were gonna maybe pull it for Spencer.
I mean, I think I'll put Spencer on top just because of her jiu-jitsu, but still, I can't blame Amanda for not wanting to take place in that fight. Like,
if there's two fights that you guys need to watch of Amanda Nunes, I think your two best fights are going to be against Chris Cyborg and Holly Holmes. I think that's you're going to see your best two performances of Amanda Nunes, because she just went in there and just took care of business and then walked out. Like, that was it. So I think
Jessica Eye, she shut her down completely. Mm-hmm. Jessica Eye had no business.
Holly Holmes.
Oh well. Either way, I think we can all respect the fact that she chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a smart play. If I could train for 2-3 weeks to fight one of the best fighters in the world versus training 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
I want to put in my best. I want to put in my best work.
Amanda, we respect you. Come on the show.
You beat Chris Cyborg.
Yeah.
Nothing but respect.
Yes.
Chris Cyborg, come on the show.
Chris, please.
We love you. Don't fight me, please.
Yes. You're scary, but we love you. There has also been a bit of an exchange on Twitter between Israel Adesanya, Tyrone Woodley, and Leon Edwards. What do you think would happen first? A fight between Izzy and John Jones, or Woodley and Izzy?
Woodley and Izzy would happen first, because Izzy's plan, which I believe Izzy's words more than John Jones, just because John Jones doesn't back up anything he says. Anyways, that being said, I think Woodley comes first because Izzy's plan is to move up to finally fight John Jones, and rather than going to John Jones and then going back down to Woodley, it's kind of just right along the his pathway.
But that means Woodley's gonna have to win. I don't think if Woodley goes against Leon Edwards and loses, I don't think he goes anywhere.
Well, that's fair, but
we're talking about like, oh yeah, I want to fight Izzy. First, you got to get through Leon Edwards first, which I think it needs to happen.
Are both of these fights at 185?
No, so I'm assuming Tyron Woodley, what he was saying on his IG Live was
Izzy at 185.
He would move up to 185 to fight Izzy,
okay,
and then Izzy would have to move up to fight John Jones.
Got it.
Because John Jones is going to go.
No matter what, Izzy's going to be moving up weight classes.
Okay.
Woodley,
if he wins,
yeah. Assuming that Woodley wins his fights and they fight Izzy, I think. I don't know.
I think at that point, say they keep on going on this winning streak, the both of them, then Tyron would move up, and that would happen first. And then at that point, Izzy would have to win against Tyron to go ahead and then fight.
So it's on Woodley right now to be like, yo.
But also, does this fit in Izzy's plan? Because he said he wanted to fight John Jones in 2021.
Yeah, I wonder if he would.
But also coronavirus, so who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a delay in the plan.
Well, he can't just like gain the weight overnight. He's gonna have to do it gradually. So at some point, he's gonna have to fight. And
that's what I'm saying.
And has he ever fought at that? Like,
what weight class? Welter?
Who? Izzy?
No, Woodley. Woodley's in welter right now.
Yeah, he's in welter.
Okay.
Former welterweight champion.
So for Izzy to be like a newer guy on the UFC block, I'm curious to watch him like pick up his weight and fight in those other classes too.
Yeah, I think just
a lot of
things. These are very like future things. Like there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen first. You need to fight Leon Edwards.
But he's that like contender fighter that's gonna be like the next John Jones. I feel like he's becoming that like.
We'll see.
He's on that trail.
Still no slouch. I mean, we all respect Izzy's striking, but that power.
Since we're on the subject of moving up weight, Tony Ferguson said he was going to put on some muscle. Is that going to affect?
I'm not even going to speculate on that. I don't care. He's staying at 155 until like a beep thing happens, and it's never going to happen.
But if he's going to put on weight, then, and if that Khabib thing's already, if it's, you're right. It's
never
not going to
happen. I'd do that if I were him.
He wants to be champ or a champion, not interim champ.
You know this
double interim champ.
You know this fool is willing to try 3 different weight classes.
That man is willing to do anything.
That would be dope. I just want things to get sorted out right now that need to get tended to.
Yeah.
Tony versus Khabib needs to happen. Leon Edwards versus Tyron Woodley needs to happen.
I mean, it clearly is such that like
it's a possibility. I wouldn't.
I just want to know his plan.
Tony used to fight at 170, so that's where I don't see it being that out of the realm of possibility.
I want that for Tony because I think he deserves to be a champion legitimately.
And if they're not going to give it to him at
Khabib and him literally were not meant to be, I think we can all kind of call it in our hearts, but let him wear a belt. Let him be a champion somewhere else.
That's true.
He's an intern champion. He's fine.
Tony, come on the show.
Tony, come on the show.
Please.
Tony, I want to see a belt around your waist, over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, I want that more than anybody.
Not
the
Khabib,
UFC.
Though. I want Khabib to keep that belt, but
Tyron, come on the
if
show.
That won't happen, then let's get you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Leon, come on the show. You're in England, so we'll have to Skype or something. We'll figure it out. Come on the show.
Speaking of a title shot, Piotr Jan is upset that Dominic Cruz is getting a shot at a title against Cejudo. Is he right, or is this the smartest move for the company?
Go ahead, Juan.
So he has the right to be mad just because he's been in the game. He's been fighting people. He's been on a win streak. So he has kind of a right to be mad. And Dominic Cruz is not taking any kind of tune-up fight. He's just going right in for the championship.
Yeah.
That being said,
go ahead.
That being said, Dominic Cruz was one of the greatest champions of all time, especially for that division's weight class. Up until Cody Garbrandt knocked him out, and he was never able to get that back. Now, I would think a great tune-up fight would be a rematch for that. Rematch against Cody Garbrandt, and then a championship fight.
I'm gonna just interrupt you for a little bit.
Go ahead.
So I was down for the Dominic Cruz changeup because Jose Aldo's out. Mm-hmm. But right before the podcast started, there was a mention from Ali Abdelaziz, who is the manager of Henry Cejudo, and he said that the UFC is planning, if Henry beats Dominic, to rebook Henry against Jose Aldo. And that's where I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Now you fought Dominic, that was your cash cow. Now you actually have to get into your division and figure it out first.
And a lot of fighters,
you got a lot of new blood coming, and that's fine. And you got Frankie Edgar there. If he wins against Aljamain Sterling, boom, that's a big money fight too. But dude, there's a reason for the rankings.
Yeah.
And if you're just at that point, you had Dominic Cruz, so you kind of have to let go of Jose Aldo. And that's where, like, if he fights against him, like, I'm gonna stop watching. This is only fun if I think that you're like going up against paramount odds. But if you're going against Jose Aldo, even though he won against that, like, people got to move on up.
Yeah.
It's not fair to hold everybody up just with like new people into the division or that want to come back. And no respect to Dominic Cruz, I think he's great. It's just one of those things where, like, take one, not the other.
And I think just to add to that, like, it's clear, you know, when we watch, for example, boxing and like all of the mob movies that we've seen about fixed fights, and that is not what MMA and the UFC has been about. So if we start to see like political pull and like
it's just
things like that, it's gonna make such an impact on the fan base for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think ultimately is not the worst thing in the world. I do agree with you. If Aldo gets a shot before Piotr, if Aldo gets a shot before him, then there's something wrong. They need to look at the books again and see what's up.
But see, that's where Dominic Cruz is okay. That's where if Piotr doesn't get a dance partner and Frankie Edgar wins, at that point it would be Henry against Frankie Edgar, 100%. So that at that point you have Piotr Yang just sitting out for a. And this is where like Piotr Yang can honestly be like, I want to be a champion. I don't care about the money because I can go to Bellator and be a champion. That's where you're gonna lose a top prospect if you don't treat him right. And I see him being like a Khabib, like, I won't fight if you don't like apologize or whatever. I can see him pulling that card.
Yeah.
And that would suck because he's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I only saw one fight. I've only seen one fight by him, but in that one fight, he showed a lot of heart. It was against
Uriah Faber.
Yep. Yeah.
Which, that man.
Uriah Faber didn't need to be in that octagon.
No, it didn't.
All right, and then to wrap everything up, my fun fast fact for this episode was that 7 years ago this week, on April 20th, Jorge Masvidal, Yoel Romero, and Gilbert Melendez all made their UFC debut. So we thank you all for your passion and hard work.
Yeah, thank you for the memories, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Follow us on Instagram, no.name.mma. Twitter handle
at NoNameMMA, #1, just the #1.
Follow us on Facebook, No Name MMA Show. Follow us, retweet us, listen to the show.
Send us an email at nonamemmashow@gmail.com.
Let us know if there's anything that you want us to talk about. Let us know if there's anything that we could do better, or if we have information that we're not going over, or if we're skipping something, just let us know.
Share the tea.
Yeah. Come on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to come on the show? Come on the show. Let us know.
It will need to be approved.
We will screen that. We will screen that call, but come on the show.
All right. So from
Juan,
Nina,
and me, Andy, thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.